Survivor 46 is here, and so is On Fire, the only official Survivor podcast, and we have a twist this season. The winner of Survivor 45, Dee Valladares, will be joining us every week.
We're going behind the scenes of the biggest moments, the how and the why things happen, and the strategy and analysis you can only get from someone like me, a Survivor winner.
Listen to On Fire, the official Survivor podcast, wherever you get your podcasts.
This episode is brought to you by Hyperice, the leader in advanced warm-up and recovery technology. They have tons of innovative products, like Venom-heated wearables to help soothe sore back muscles, Normatec compression boots to speed up recovery and increase circulation, and Hypervolt massage guns to improve mobility. Loved by athletes like Naomi Osaka and Erling Haaland. Try them yourself. Get 10% off your order with the code MOVE at Hyperice.com.
With threats to our nation waiting around every corner, adaptability is more important than ever. When conditions change without notice, quick strategic thinking is crucial. And with obstacles consistently impending, determination is essential in overcoming them. It's this willingness, decisiveness, and resilience that sets Marines apart. With our fighting spirit, we don't just fight battles, we win them. Marines are the constant our nation counts on to fight the unknown. And through adaptable problem solving, we do just that. Learn more at marines.com.
The Two-Footed Podcast is brought to you by EPLindex.com and our presenting sponsor, Liberty Shield. Liberty Shield is a VPN provider. A virtual privacy network allows you to go online, change your location, access things you're geo-blocked from, while keeping your data safe. So, as an example, if you are a UK expat and want access to BBC iPlayer to watch Match of the Day, or ITV Hub, or all four, but you get that message that says this content is not available in your location, a Liberty Shield VPN gets you around that block, allows you to watch whatever you want on those services while also keeping your data safe. And it goes further than that. It allows you to open up Netflix's entire library by just changing your IP address. Liberty Shield is the #1 rated VPN provider on Trustpilot with 5-star ratings across the board. So go to libertyshield.com right now, use the code EPL25 and get either the hardware package or the software package. The hardware package is a router that you plug into your existing router, and any item you want to change the IP address on, be it your phone or your television, you connect that to the new Liberty Shield router. All other items can remain connected to your existing router. There's also a software package which is instantly downloadable to your device and you can get using straight away. Again, libertyshield.com, EPL25 for 25% off at checkout. We're also brought to you by Home of Hopcroft, a giftware and homeware company located in Scotland but shipping worldwide. Check out homeofhopcroft.co.uk and do check out the EPL Index and Anfield Index shops, which you'll find on Etsy. Use the codes EPL10 or RED10 for 10% off at checkout. And lastly, do remember to check out A Tad Predictable, hosted by Tadiwa. That podcast is on this feed before every Premier League match week. And then the EPL Roundtable, hosted by Kevin DeVries, on its own EPL Roundtable feed. So just search EPL Roundtable in your podcast device. And that's out after every match week. Now, on with the show. What's good, boys and girls? Two-Footed Podcast. Today is Friday. It is the 15th of March. Hope you're all well and having yourselves a pleasant day. Lots of football last night, so let's start with the Europa League. Slavia Prague 1, AC Milan 3. Slavia Prague for the second game against Milan, having a man sent off early and making it nice and easy for Milan. Christian Pulisic, Ruben Loftus-Cheek and Rafael Leao had Milan 3-0 up and 7-2 up on aggregate by half-time. Jurasek did pull one back, but it was too little, far too late. So Milan are through. Rangers 0, Benfica 1. Rafa Silva with the only goal of the game. Little bit of an upset for me, that one. Benfica are a better team than Rangers, but I thought Ibrox would make a big difference. Didn't seem to bother Benfica. Through they go 3-2 on aggregate. Villarreal 3, Marseille 1. Now, Marseille went in with a 4-goal advantage. So you had them very much comfortably going through, but Villarreal made them sweat. Capoue, Sorloth, and Mosquera with the goals. And it looked like we were set up for a grand slam finish. Maybe Villarreal could force extra time, but they overcommitted bodies forward. And Jonathan Klaus made it 3-1, getting a goal for Marseille in the 94th minute. So 5-3 on aggregate to the French side and through to the semi-final, or the quarterfinals rather, they go. West Ham 5, Freiburg 0. Unbelievable performance from West Ham, to be fair. Started really well, put the pressure on. Lucas Paqueta opened the scoring on 9 minutes, got them level in the tie. Bowen took advantage of some horrendous defending on 32 minutes. It's a great strike from Bowen, though. Really good strike from Cresswell on 52, made it 3-0 on the night, 3-1 on aggregate. Mohamed Kudus then ran half the length of the pitch to make it 4. And Kudus wrapped it up on 85 with a really nice strike from outside the box. Great performance from West Ham, deservedly through. Atalanta 2, Sporting 1. Sporting went 1-0 up through Pedro Concalves, but Ademola Lookman equalised just after half-time, and Gianluca Scamacca gave Atalanta the win in the 59th minute, and through they go. Brighton 1, Roma 0. Brighton played really well and battered them, but unfortunately just couldn't find a second or third or fourth goal. But Danny Welbeck did score a great goal to give them the 1-0 win, but they go out 4-1 on aggregate. Leverkusen 3, Qarabag 2. Qarabag went 1-0 up through Zabir. Then they had a player sent off. Then they went 2-0 up. Then Frimpong pulled one back. And then in stoppage time, Patrick Schick scored twice to give Leverkusen a 3-2 win in the night and put them through 5-4 on aggregate. Not impressive from Leverkusen, but they got the job done. Liverpool had the job done before they took part in this game. They were 5-1 up from the first leg. Nunez made it 6-1 on aggregate in 7 minutes. Bobby Clark a minute later made it 8-1. Mohamed Salah made it 9-1. Nunez made it 6, Clark made it 7, Salah made it 8. That was 10 minutes into the game. Liverpool were 3-0 up 10 minutes into the game. 4 minutes later, Gakpo made it 4 on the night, 9-1 on aggregate. Then Sparta pulled one back through Birmancevic. Then Szoboszlai scored, and then Gakpo scored. Liverpool go through 11-2 on aggregate. So the quarterfinals are set, and we know what the semi-finals will be. So Liverpool-Atalanta, you'd favour Liverpool to go through. Benfica-Marseille is a really tough one to call. Milan versus Roma is a really tough one to call. And Leverkusen-West Ham, you would favour Leverkusen, but their form they're still winning games, but their form has dropped off. They're not playing as well. And with the second leg being in the London Stadium, that might give West Ham the advantage. So Liverpool, Benfica, Milan and Leverkusen are home in the first leg. Then we get the returns. The first leg are the 11th. The return leg is the 18th of April. Then on the 2nd of May, we'll get the semi-final first leg. On the 9th of May, we get the semi-final second leg. Your semi-finals will be Liverpool or Atalanta versus Marseille or Benfica. Roma or Milan versus West Ham or Leverkusen. So the draw has actually worked out really well for Liverpool. They've gotten a favourable quarterfinal, the favourable semi-final, and the others can knock themselves out on the other side. West Ham obviously in the tougher part of the draw. The Champions League draw was also made, and we might as well touch on that before we do the Europa League. So, PSG versus Barcelona. PSG home in the first leg. Atletico Madrid versus Borussia Dortmund. Atleti home in the first leg. That's favourable for them. Arsenal versus Bayern. Arsenal should win that comfortably. Bayern are not good this season. Outside of Kane and Musiala, they have nothing to cheer about. Arsenal strong favourites. I think Atleti strong favourites. I would make PSG favourites over Barcelona. But the big one is Real Madrid versus Manchester City. And you would say that the winner of that becomes favourites to win the competition outright. We have reports that both Thibaut Courtois and Eder Militao are back for Real for this one. So that's obviously huge. The semi-finals will be Real or Man City versus Arsenal or Bayern. PSG or Barcelona versus Atleti or Dortmund. So I'm looking at a City PSG final is how I feel right now. But there is a path maybe to another All Madrid final, which we've obviously seen in the past. Twice. It's a really interesting draw. It really is an interesting draw. I don't think Atleti can win the competition, but if you ask me to pick them or Dortmund, I'd pick them. Over two legs, I'd pick them to beat Barcelona. PSG is the tough one. I don't think Enrique is particularly good. And the treatment of Mbappe in the last while has been odd, so we'll have to wait and see. Like I said, Arsenal got the easiest draw. Bayern are dreadful. So, so they should really win the double now. And I think anything else other than winning the double, we would have to probably categorize as choking. I think that'd be fair. We had mental stuff going on in the Conference League last night, in one game in particular. Actually, in two games. Union St. Gilloise went to Fenerbahce 1-1-0. Made no difference. They'd lost the first leg 3-0. So they're out 3-1 on aggregate. Fiorentina, Maccabi Haifa played out a 1-1 draw. Fiorentina go through 5-4 on aggregate. And credit to their fans for last night. Victoria Plzeň and Servette played out a 0-0 draw. Victoria won 3-1 on penalties. PAOK 2-0 down. 2-0 down from the first leg. We're 2-0 up when I was speaking yesterday. Went 3-0 up quickly after. Then Zagreb pulled one back on 49 minutes. But then PAOK scored two more to win 5-1 and go through 5-3 on aggregate. Lille and Sturm Graz played at a 1-1 draw. This is the madness, though. So Maccabi Tel Aviv beat Olympiacos 4-0 in Olympiacos. And last night, Olympiacos beat them 6-1. Sorry, they beat them 4-1 on aggregate. 4-1 on aggregate in Olympiacos. Last night, Olympiacos beat them 6-1. Now, the game was played in Topolo, so it wasn't like a home game for Tel Aviv, but still, there's no excuse. That's an outrageous defeat. Podence, formerly of Wolves, Stefan Jovetic, formerly of Man City, Monaco, Fiorentina, I think Juventus at one point, or Inter. 6-1. And both Israeli sides are out. So there's that. Aston Villa 4, Ajax 0. Ollie Watkins opened the scoring with a great header on 25 minutes. Leon Bailey made it 2 on 60 after a nice team build-up. Jon Duran nearly broke the crossbar on 75, making it 3. He hit it that hard. It hit the crossbar, bounced down, came back up and hit the crossbar, still moving at a decent clip, and bounced back out. But when it bounced down the first time it had crossed the line, Moussa Diaby wrapped it up on 81 minutes. Another Jordan Henderson disaster class in that one. That's now 2 wins, I think, in 23 games for Jordan. I do note that Al Ettifaq have won 3 of their last 4 without him. They play again today away to Al Tai. So that could be 4 out of 5. They've moved up the league and could potentially move into the top 6 in this game week. They'll be eyeing a top 5 finish now that they've rid themselves of Captain Courage. Ajax had actually found a bit of form before bringing him in. Before bringing him in the league, they were unbeaten in 10 games. They'd won 8 and drawn 2. Since bringing him in, they've won 2 games. He didn't play in one of them. They've lost 3 times. Unbeaten in 8. 3 defeats in 9. Actually, I think he's played 8 because he didn't play one of the games they won. He played in the win over Utrecht. Magnificent. Absolutely magnificent. Not that I'm keeping track of these things, though. Anyway, Europa Conference League draw. So, Villa get a tough draw. They get Lille. They're home in the first leg, away in the second leg. Olympiacos get Fenerbahce. That will be a tasty one. The winner of Villa versus Lille will face the winner of Olympiacos Fenerbahce. So they are on the much tougher side of the draw. But it does mean that should they get to the final, they should have a more straightforward game. Now, I would be shocked if Fiorentina don't make the final. Fiorentina play Victoria Plzen. Club Bruges play PAOK. Bruges beat Molde. Don't think I mentioned that one. Bruges beat Molde 3-0 last night, which I expected. So they go through 4-2 in aggregate. But in terms of semi-finals, if I was to predict right now, I'd be saying Villa versus Fenerbahce, Victoria Plzen versus Club Bruges in the Europa Conference League. In the Europa League, I would be saying Liverpool versus Benfica and Milan versus Leverkusen. And in the Champions League, PSG versus Atleti, Arsenal versus City. If I was picking semi-finals today, I think that's what I'd go for. Now, Real getting Courtois and Militao back is interesting, but they're both coming back off torn ACLs, so there's going to be some rust there. We'll go to break. When we come back, we'll do some news and gossip. We'll go to another break. We'll come back, and then it's just going to be me doing the few games of the weekend because there's not a full run of them, so I'll just do them. Guy, I'm sure, has better things to be doing on this day. So, see you after this.
Hey there! Did you know Kroger always gives you savings and rewards on top of our lower-than-low prices? And when you download the Kroger app, you'll enjoy over $500 in savings every week with digital coupons. And don't forget fuel points to help you save up to $1 per gallon at the pump. Want to save even more? With a Boost membership, you'll get double fuel points and free delivery. So shop and save big at Kroger today. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Savings may vary by state. Restrictions apply. See site for details.
It's only a kick, a jump, a block. It's only a serve. It's only a tackle, a run. It's only for the fans. After all, it's only pressure. You got this. Adidas.
Does Monday at the office feel like a storm? Not with Microsoft Copilot. That feeling when Copilot gets everyone up to speed instantly? It's sunny again. When Copilot simplifies complex data so your teams can act, that sun's shining on a beach. And when Copilot uncovers hidden insights, you're on that beach with your people, and you find buried treasure. That's Microsoft Copilot. Learn more at Microsoft.com/AI for all.
Right, welcome back. So, we have some news, not huge amounts, but some. Mauricio Pochettino has said that some of his players did not sleep the night before their cup final defeat to Liverpool, which is just bizarre. It's just a really weird thing to come out and say. Real Madrid have filed yet more complaints to La Liga about the continued racial abuse that Vinicius Jr. continues to suffer. And I really don't understand why this is still something that we're even tolerating. Like, if you're in a stadium and there's people being openly racist towards players, how are you not shutting that down at this point? Especially considering all we know at this point, considering how much diversity we have at this point. Like, racism has obviously never been acceptable, but it was kind of understandable in like the 70s and 80s when there wasn't nearly as much diversity, when there wasn't as much multiculturalism. You could understand it because it was from ignorance. It was from a place of ignorance. And I remember growing up in Ireland in the 80s and the early 90s, and racism was prevalent because of ignorance, because there weren't many Black people or Indian people or Pakistani people. Like, in my town, you knew the Black people to see because there was only a couple of them. You knew the Pakistani family because there was one of them, the Barrys. That was it. Now, thankfully, a Boss Barry who was in my class in school, or in my year in primary school, was in the other class, but in my year, he never had to deal with that in school. But I'm sure his family had to deal with some of it. They moved away when we would have been about 10, maybe a little bit earlier. But thankfully, through people, migrating to Ireland, people being welcoming in Ireland by nature and getting over that initial sort of fear or whatever it was, it's become a lot more accepting of all creeds and cultures. Now, you still do have, a group of heinous so-and-sos, a terrible set of lads, if you will, who are very much from that mindset. But as with similar groups in England, like those led by Tommy Robinson, they hide behind other things and claim not to be racist. But they're very careful with what they say. In Spain, on the other hand, especially at football matches, now I've never seen it or experienced it just out in the street on a normal day whenever I've been in Spain. I've never seen racism out in the open like that, but I've seen it in football stadiums, and it's just horrendous. And how do they think this is going to end? It's going to end with so many of the world's best players just refusing to play in their league. Like, if you're a Black player and you play for a team in Spain and your team are playing Real Madrid, and you can hear your fans being openly racist towards Vinicius Jr., surely your first port of call is to your agent to say, look, get me out of here. I don't want to be around this anymore. This is horrendous. I don't understand how we're still here. I really don't. Liverpool want to win every trophy possible for Klopp. Obviously, his last season with the club. Potentially 18 games left to complete what would be a fairly iconic quadruple. You never know. You never know. It's possible. It's possible. If there's one fella who's capable of doing it, it is him. We have a quiz. Man United versus Liverpool. How well do you remember past FA Cup meetings? Actually, probably quite well, because I was looking at these the other day because I was going to do something for the Daily Red, and I forgot to do it for the Daily Red. So let's have a look. Who became the first man born outside the UK and Ireland to lift the FA Cup as captain in 1996? That will be Eric Cantona. Who scored the stoppage time winner in 1999? As if that goal isn't imprinted on my head. It's Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. The other option was David Beckham. It wasn't him. Who scored the only goal as Liverpool beat Manchester United 1-0 at Anfield in the fifth round in 2006? That was Peter Crouch, I believe. Crouch and Kuehl are the options. I think it was Crouch. Yes. Liverpool's 2006 FA Cup win was their first over United. How many years? I'm sad that I know this, and I'm sad by the answer. The options are 45, 65, and 85. The answer is 85. Which player was sent off for Liverpool in the 1-0 defeat by Manchester United in the third round of 2011? That was Steven Gerrard. Not one of his finer moments. Who was in charge when Liverpool beat Manchester United 2-1 in the fourth round in 2012? That was Kenny. Who scored the winner in the most recent tie in 2021? Fernandes or Cavani? Bruno? Yes. How many times have Liverpool have been eliminated from the FA Cup by Manchester United more than any other opponent? How many times? The answer is 10. Yeah. That was definitely a quiz put together by a Man United fan for Man United fans. So thanks for that. We'll do the gossip. We'll go to another break. Chelsea feared they will miss out on Victor Osimhen with Paris Saint-Germain and Arsenal nudging ahead. It'll be PSG. If they want him, they'll get him. Marcus Rashford is not expected to move to PSG this summer following reports that he could replace Kylian Mbappe. Weston McKennie has emerged as a potential target for Manchester United. Okay, that would be odd. Who's written this nonsense? Is it Fraser Fletcher, one of these spoofers? Dean Jones. Yeah, one of the spoofers. Getafe will be unable to keep Mason Greenwood beyond his loan because his prices be too high. It's not like he's even been particularly good for them. Manchester City have decided to postpone talks with KDB, who has just over a year left. I wouldn't imagine that's true. I'd say in the summer they'll go back to that. Chelsea are chasing Milos Kerkez, but face competition from Manchester United for the Hungary international. He'd be nuts to go to either. Aston Villa are confident they will be able to keep Douglas Luiz despite interest from Arsenal. They should sell him if the offer's 70, 80 million. Gareth Southgate has revealed he told the FA to hold talks about his future until after the Euros. I thought he was going to leave after the Euros. Now he seems to want to stay. Former Manchester City and Saudi Arabia and current Saudi Arabia coach Roberto Mancini has emerged as a top target for Newcastle should they decide to replace Eddie Howe. Well, that would be convenient, wouldn't it? Newcastle want to speed up Dan Ashworth's exit to Manchester United as Paul Mitchell heads a shortlist to replace him. It doesn't matter for Newcastle whether it speeds up the exit. He's gone now, regardless. Club Brugge forward Antonio Nusa continues to attract interest from Tottenham City, Chelsea and Arsenal. Chelsea are interested in Lenny Yoro. That would be a horrible move for him. Manchester United, Chelsea and Arsenal are all interested in Pau Gabarsi. I think he's going to stay where he is. Newcastle and Arsenal have been boosted in their pursuit of Ousmane Diomande as Chelsea now need to sell players. We all knew that anyway. Man City are set to sign French-born teenager Timo Whisker from Cardiff for about 250,000. Okay. Santos believe it is inevitable that Neymar will rejoin his first club before he ends his career. I would imagine that is an absolute certainty that that's where he goes after he finishes pricking about in Saudi Arabia. PSV hope to sign Serginho Dest and Malik Tillman. They definitely have an option to buy on Malik Tillman. Did I call him Tillman? Tillman. Serginho Dest, I don't know if they have an option. Let's have a look. Yes, they do indeed. So they will be able to sign both of them. Former Everton and Icelandic midfielder Gylfi Sigurdsson has joined Icelandic club Valur after spending just 6 months with Danish side Lyngby. Yeah. The Football Association is set to press ahead with plans to scrap FA Cup replays from the third round next season. I think that's good. I think that's good news. Takes more games out of the schedule. We don't need so many games. Right, we will take a break. We'll come back with just me and we'll go through this weekend's games. See you in a sec.
This episode is brought to you by Pepsi Wild Cherry. Pepsi Wild Cherry is bursting with delicious cherry flavor and a sweet, crisp taste that gives you more to go wild for. Getting wild may look different these days, but whether it's opting for a solo Friday binge watch or a big night out, everyone can indulge in their wild side with Pepsi Wild Cherry. Also available in Zero Sugar. So grab a Pepsi Wild Cherry and get wild.
Throw the best birthday party ever that your child will always talk about. Big Air Trampoline Park inside Fieldhouse USA at the Polaris Mall can do just that. Award-winning birthday party packages start at just $300. And all birthday parties include pizza, drinks, a party room with a party host, grip socks, printed invitations, and all 40 attractions at Big Air Trampoline Park. It's a birthday party you and your kids will never forget. Book your party today. Big Air Columbus, where the fun never ends. Visit BigAirUSA.com/Columbus for details.
Right, welcome back. So we have obviously 4 FA Cup quarterfinals this weekend, along with a couple of Premier League games. We have 4 Premier League games and 4 FA Cup games, so 8 games for the weekend, which isn't bad. It isn't bad. I do think they've messed up the scheduling a little bit, though, by putting the Fulham Tottenham game on at the same time as the Man City Newcastle game. You'd wonder why one of them wasn't flexed to like an 8 p.m. kickoff. But let's go FA Cup first. The early kickoff tomorrow, 12:15, Midlands Derby, Wolves against Coventry City. Good opportunity for Wolves here at home against lower league opposition to get themselves a semi-final spot. To get to this point, Wolves drew Brentford in the third round, drew 1-1 in the away game, in the first game, which forced a replay. And in that replay, they won 3-2 after extra time. Then they drew West Brom in the Black Country Derby. They went to the Hawthorns and won 2-0. And then in the fifth round, they drew Brighton and Hove Albion. Lamina scored after 2 minutes, and that was it. 1-0 to Wolves. Brighton never really worried them all that much. And through go Wolves to face Coventry. To get to this point, Coventry beat Oxford United 6-2. Then they drew Sheffield Wednesday. Drew 1-1 up at Hillsborough. Bizarrely low crowd. 14,000 people at that game. Now, I know it was a midweek game, but it's still FA Cup. And that stadium holds like 20,000 more than that. In the replay in Coventry, the Sky Blues won 4-1. Last time out, they drew Maidstone United, who are obviously a really good story because they're in the National League South, which is the 6th tier of English football. They've done really well to get to that point. Unfortunately, didn't get the Premier League draw they were looking for. But, you know, there was 27,000 or so at the game, so they would have got a decent enough share of a gate. But Coventry beat them 5-0 behind an Ellis Sims hat-trick. One of 2 that he's gotten recently. The other one came against Rotherham. This will be the first time Coventry have played Premier League opposition this season, because in the EFL Cup, they went out to AFC Wimbledon in the first round. So big step up for them. But, a good tester, because Coventry are hopeful of a playoff spot this year. They're only 1 point outside the playoff spots as things stand, and they have a better goal difference than Norwich and Hull, who sit above them in the league. I would fancy Wolves to get through. Simple as that. Manchester City versus Newcastle is the 5:30 FA Cup kickoff on Saturday. City, to get to this point, played Huddersfield, beat them 5-0 at the Etihad. Then they went to London and beat Spurs 1-0. A late Nathan Ake goal after City had dominated the game. Then they drew Luton away, and Erling Haaland scored 5. Now, the two best goals in the game were scored by Luton, though Kovacic's goal was good as well. But Luton scored 2 worldies in that game. But 6-2 to Man City. So now they draw the Toon. Toon, to get to this point, had Sunderland away in the third round, went to the Stadium of Light, beat them 3-0. Then went to London and beat Fulham 2-0 in the fourth round. Then played Blackburn in the fifth round, drew 1-1, but won on penalties. And that landed them this draw against Manchester City. Now, this is a tough one for Newcastle, because obviously we know City are the better team. City are trying to repeat as treble winners, which, regardless of anything else, would be an absolutely obscene achievement if they could manage it. I don't fancy them to do it, but they're certainly in a great position to do it. On Sunday, then, in the 12:45 kickoff, it is Chelsea at home to Leicester City. Chelsea thus far beat Preston North End 4-0. Drew 0-0 at home with Aston Villa, then went to Villa Park in the replay and beat them 3-1, which was very impressive. Last time out, they played Leeds United. They went 1-0 down. They came back to lead. It went to 2-2. Conor Gallagher scored a last-minute goal to see them through. They'll be favourites, obviously, in this one, playing a team from the Championship. But Leicester are top of the Championship, though their form has fallen off a little bit. They beat Millwall 3-2 away at the Den in the third round. Again, a small crowd. Only 10,000 at that one. And the Den holds 20,000. Millwall fans, get your stuff out. What are you doing? Then they played Birmingham at home in round 4. They beat them 3-0. Then they went to Bournemouth and beat them 1-0 in extra time. Fatua with the goal. That's one of 2 games against Premier League oppositions they've had this season. The other one was a 3-1 defeat to Liverpool in the third round of the EFL Cup. With Chelsea being a Premier League side and Chelsea being at home, you would have to fancy Chelsea to come through. It would be a big upset if it was Leicester who landed themselves in an FA Cup semi-final. But it is great that we have 2 Championship sides in the quarterfinals. It's almost a shame they didn't draw each other, so we could have had one in the semi-final. But it is what it is. Manchester United versus Liverpool is the Super Sunday game, the 3:30 kickoff. United, to get here, beat Wigan Athletic 2-0 away, beat Newport County 4-2 away, and beat Nottingham Forest 1-0 away with a late Casemiro goal. Not exactly the toughest run. And obviously United were in good form when that run began. Or certainly that was the beginning of a good run of form, is what I probably should say. Now they're not in such good form. And they face a Liverpool team who'll be very confident. Liverpool beat Arsenal 2-0 away in the third round. Then they beat Norwich 5-2 at home in round 4. They beat Southampton at home 3-0 in round 5 with largely a team of kids playing. They've already won the EFL Cup. They're second in the Premier League on goal difference only, with the big chance to go back top after the international break when they face Brighton at home on the same weekend that City play Arsenal. Still in the Europa League, obviously, with a favourable draw in the quarterfinal and the semi-final. So Liverpool potentially on path for a quadruple, while City are on path for another treble. And this is this and the league are obviously the competitions that will define things for them. City, you would make favourites to win the Champions League. Liverpool are favourites to win the Europa League, showing the strength of the Premier League that, Villa are the clear favourites to win the Conference League as well. So could potentially see all three trophies land in England this year. On to the Premier League, where, like I say, we have 4 games. So first up, 3 p.m. on Saturday, we have Burnley at home to Brentford. Neither of these teams have been particularly good this season. Now, Burnley are 19th, Brentford are 15th. If we look at the form table across the last 10 games, Burnley are 20th, no wins, 3 draws. Brentford are 16th, 2 wins, 1 draw. Burnley's home form across the last 6, 20th, no wins, 2 draws. Brentford's away form across the last 6, 18th, 1 win, 5 defeats. Injury-wise, both of these teams have been fairly hard hit for most of the season. Brentford have no De Silva, no Henry, no Mee, no Hickey, no Sade, who is still out, bizarrely. No Norgard, no Pinnock, but they're hoping Reguilon should be okay, and they're hoping Mbomo should be okay. Burnley, no Ramsey, no Redmond, no Foster, no Kolioshu, no Dakhil. They're hopeful on Jordan Bayer. I'm just going to go for a draw. This is about as sad a fixture as you can have in the Premier League at the moment. We'll just go the draw, 1-1. Also at 3 p.m, another very sad fixture is Luton at home to Nottingham Forest. Now this is a huge game. Both have lost 4 and 5. Luton sit 18th, Forest are 17th. Should Luton win, they will go ahead of Forest. Forest currently have a 2-goal advantage in the goal column. But let's just say Luton win 1-0. So that's 1 for Luton, 1 off Forest. That's both of them on minus 17, both of them on 24 points. But Luton have scored more goals. Luton have scored 41 goals to Forest, and that would be 42 to Forest's 34. So Luton can go out of the bottom 3, with a win here. But for Forest, they can open up a 6-point gap with a win here. Now, form-wise, last 10, Forest are 14th, 3 wins and a draw. Luton are 17th, 1 win and 3 draws. Luton's home form over the last 10 has them 15th, 2 wins and 2 wins and 4 defeats. Forest's away form has them 13th, 1 win, 2 draws, 3 defeats. Injury-wise, Luton have quite a few. No Lockyer, no Bell, no Nakamba, no Potts, no Joseph, no Anderson, no Brown. Doubts over Adebayo, Lokonga. Significant doubts over Osho and Tahith Chong, who was forced off in midweek. Forest are getting their players back, though. Only Ola Aina, Nuno Tavares, and Gonzalo Montiel are likely to miss out. Giovanni Reina should be okay to at least make the bench in this one. This will be the best Forest have had in terms of health and fitness all season long. So big opportunity for them to go there and win, and I'm going to back them to go there and win. I'm going to say 2-1 to Forest in this one. The 5:30 kickoff then is Fulham at home to Spurs. Fulham currently sit 12th. Spurs currently sit 5th. Spurs do have a game in hand on Villa. Now, this is not that game in hand, but it is a chance to put real pressure on Villa, who play Sunday, by going ahead of them with a win here. And Villa will know that they then have to respond on Sunday, and that if they don't, Spurs could end the weekend ahead of them and with a game in hand. Last 10 games, Spurs are 4th in the form table. 6 wins, 2 draws, 2 defeats. Fulham are 10th. 4 wins, 2 draws, 4 defeats. So not bad. Fulham's home form across the last 6. 9th. 3 wins, 1 draw, 2 defeats. Spurs away form has them 6th. 2 wins, 3 draws, 1 defeat. Injury-wise, Fulham, Raul Jimenez, they're hopeful is back. Other than that, everybody's healthy. For Spurs, no Sessegnon, no Fraser Forster, no Manor Solomon, no Mickey van de Ven, which is obviously a big blow, but Richarlison should be back. So that's big for them. And with Dragusin brought in January, the Van de Ven injury shouldn't be as impactful. I'm going to back Spurs to win. I'm going to go 3-1 Tottenham and back them to win. Our final game then is the Sunday 2 p.m. kickoff. West Ham against Villa. West Ham in 7th, Villa in 4th. Across the last 10 games, West Ham are 11th in the form table. 3 wins, 4 draws, 3 defeats. But Villa are 8th with 5 wins, 1 draw, and 4 defeats. So they haven't been strong over the last little while. They had that really bad wobble. Now they've kind of come out of it a bit, but they got walloped by Spurs, obviously, at the weekend in what was a major game. Home form, West Ham currently 11th in the form table. 2 wins, 3 draws, 1 defeat. So not great, but hard to beat at least. Away form, Villa are actually 4th. 4 wins, 1 draw, 1 defeat. Now that's very unusual for an Unai Emery team. Injury-wise, West Ham, no Max Cornet, Emerson Palmieri is a major doubt. Villa, no Boubacar Kamara, no Buendia, no Mings, McGinn is suspended. Diego Carlos has another hamstring issue, so he's probably going to have to be out for another game or so. Jacob Ramsey almost certainly misses out, and I'm going to guess that Ollie Watkins misses out as well. It didn't sound promising. It's only a cut in the knee, but it didn't sound promising that he'll be okay to go this weekend. I'm going to go the draw in this one. I'm going to go 2-2. The games that are postponed are Crystal Palace, Newcastle, Arsenal, Chelsea, Manchester United, Sheffield United, Wolves, Bournemouth, Everton, Liverpool, and Brighton, Man City. Those games are all postponed and will then have to be slotted into the schedule at a later date. So that's it, folks. That's all I have for today. Thank you as always. I'm not here Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday of next week. I'm going to take a little break. But I'll be back on Friday. Now, there's no games next weekend, so I'll just be back to chat inane amounts of shit and probably just, try and wind people up if I can. But yeah, I'll see you then. Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy your week. Stay safe. And thanks as always. Bye-bye.
Social Podcast Network.